Okay, so who can answer this question? So basically, users need to calculate the NPV of the current policy and the NPV of the new policy, okay? And then you take the difference between them. In the final exam, you will have a question like this, okay? It's very easy.
Teacher, I think I will switch. I will use the new because I calculate the new net present value is bigger.
So what is the value for the NPV of the new policy?
The NPV of new policy, my result is 11,671,800.
Okay, I think your result is correct. I think your result is correct. Okay, so basically the NPV of the current policy equal.
I calculated 11,638,200. Yes.
Okay, it's correct.
And the new one, 11,671,800.
So the NPV of the switch green.
The switch will be I find out the difference between the net present value of new policy and the net present value of the current, which equal 33,600.
Okay. So basically your result is similar to my results. I think you are correct. Okay, what's your name?
My name is Uyên.
Hey, Uyên.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so for the student who cannot solve the example, so this is the result. Okay, you can do it at home. So now we will continue our chapter by studying how to monitor the account receivable. So basically, in order to monitor the account receivable, we will calculate the account receivable days. Okay. Can the student tell me how to calculate the account receivable days? This one must be easy, okay? Okay, Việt Anh. Okay, Việt Anh.
Yes.
What is the formula to calculate the account receivable days?
Wait a moment.
It will equal the account receivable, okay, divided by the number of days in 1 year, maybe 360 or 365, okay, and no sales divided 360 or 365, okay. So you need to remember the formula to calculate the account receivable days. It equal account receivable and then divided by the sales and then divided by 360, okay. So this the meaning of the account receivable days is that it shows the average number of days that it takes a firm to collect the receivable. And usually your company the company will compare the account receivable days with the policy of the company. Okay, the company will compare the account receivable days with the policy of the company. For example, if the policy allows the customer to pay after 30 days, okay, after 30 days. However, when you calculate the account receivable days of your company, you find out that the account receivable days of your company is, let's say, 40 days. This is a policy, okay. However, in practice, it's 40 days. So what that means? It means you are collecting your account receivable slower than the policy. It means you may have trouble in collecting the account receivable. Okay. So basically, this is the first way for you to monitor the account receivable. You will monitor the account receivable via calculating the account receivable days. Okay. And the second way for you to monitor the account receivable is to use the aging schedule. Okay, the aging schedule will have two dimensions. The first dimension will be the number of days outstanding. Okay, and the second dimension can be either the number of the accounts or the dollars outstanding, okay, for each account. Here you can see here. So this is the table showing the aging schedule. Okay, so the first dimension will be the days outstanding. Okay, and the second dimension can be either the number of accounts receivable or the dollars amounts outstanding. Here you can see in the panel A, we have one dimension is the days outstanding and the other dimension is the number of account. Okay, in the panel B, the first dimension is the same. Okay, is the days outstanding, and the second dimension is the amount outstanding. Usually the second way or the panel B will be used more frequently. However, the absolute value may not provide a lot of meaningful information. That's why we usually calculate the percentage of accounts or the percentage outstanding for the panel A and B respectively. Okay, so this is called the aging schedule. Okay, they have two dimensions. And the final tools you can use to monitor the accounts receivable is to examine the payments patterns. Okay, the payments patterns will provide information on the percentage of monthly sales that the firm collect in each month. Okay, for example, last month collection rate is let's say 70%, and this month collection rate is only 40%. It suggests that, and for the other previous month, the collection rate is around 70%. So it will suggest that your company had some problem in the collection process. So if you find out that your collection process has some problem, you have to prepare the aging schedule immediately in order to identify the bad account receivable, something like that. So basically, this is the three tools for you to monitor the accounts receivable. And in the final exam, you will have a question like this. It will take you 1 point. This question will be 1 point for the final exam. Okay. So can you spend maybe a few minutes or maybe 1 minute to do this one? Let's see. Oh, this one I provide you in the slide the results. Okay, so you can see here. Here this is the results. Okay, the first dimension will be the days outstanding. The second dimension will be the amount outstanding, and then you calculate the percentage outstanding in the third column. Okay, so basically in the final exam, I just require you to calculate a table like this, and then you can have some comment. For this example, you can have some comment like this. For the account receivable that are more than 40 days, the total percentage outstanding is only, the total percentage outstanding just only 6%. Okay, 3.8 plus 1.9 plus 0.4. It's just around 6%. Okay, so it's not a huge amount. So basically, this company has no problem with the collection process. If you want, okay, only 6% of their accounts receivable are more than 40 days outstanding. However, you should remember one thing. If you don't want to compare with 40 days, I think in my opinion, you should compare the number 40 days here with the policy, because in the policy you provide the check credit in 30 days. So you can see that the how many percent? 19%. You will have around 25%. Around 25% of the account receivables are more than 30 days outstanding. Okay, so it's not much. 25% is not much. So after you prepare this table, you can have some comment like this. If you want, you can select 40 days as a milestone, okay, or you can compare with your policy. The reason why I take 40 days because I just copy from the textbook, okay. You can find this example in the textbook. Okay, so let's move to this question. And I have to say that I'm very surprised because this question is very easy. However, when I mark the final exam in the last semester, I find out that a lot of students skip this question. I don't understand why. Maybe I think, just in my opinion, I don't understand why, but I think that the reason why the students skip the question is because of this information. Okay, the student will think that maybe they will have to use this information and they don't know how to use this. Okay, however, for this question, you don't need to use this information. You just need to use all of this information here. And this is the results. Okay, and now you can see that, okay, you can have a quick look at the results. And then you can see that the percentage outstanding for the percentage outstanding for the account receivable that have more than 40 days outstanding is how much? 11.40% plus this one plus this one, and it must be around maybe 25%. Okay, equal 23.08%. Okay, So it's quite high. So it suggests that maybe the company has some problem in collecting the receivable. Okay, something like this. Okay, any questions? Okay, this slide shows you how the company can collect the account receivable. So basically, most firms will follow a policy, okay, a policy like this. Firstly, if they identify a late payment customer, they will send a delinquency letter to them, okay, to them. And after sending the letter, and if you get no reply, you will make a phone call to the customer, okay. And in the next step, you may ask a collection agency to help you to collect the account receivable. And in the final step, you may have to take the legal action. You have to bring the customer to the court, okay? So, just in my opinion, in the real life, okay, in the real life, maybe the company usually take the first two steps here. The company will rarely do the final two step here. Why? Because if you employ a collection agency, it may cost you a lot of money. For example, if the account receivable is not much, and if you employ a collection agency, maybe the cost you have to pay is a lot. Okay, the similar reason is for the taking the legal action against the customer. You also have to pay a lot of fee, something like that. And maybe if you follow the court, it will cost you a lot of time. So the company will rarely use the two action here, except that when the account receivable is very huge. Okay, that's why if you remember, when we decide whether or not we give the check credit to the customer, if the customer fail to pay us one time, we will never provide the check credit to them anymore. Okay, we don't want to lose money anymore. Something like that. And we also have two tools in order to collect money quickly for the late customer. The first tool will be the late payment fee, and the second tool will be the prompt payment discount. Okay, the late payment fees mean that we say to the customer that okay, if you pay us now, I will not charge you any fee. Okay, so maybe when the customer hears something like that, the customer will pay us now. Or maybe we can say to the customer that okay, if the customer pay your company immediately, you can provide a discount to the customer even when they are paying later than they are paying later than the requirement in the policy, something like that. Yeah, that's why we have the early impost here. Okay, we have to provide the payment discount to the customer even when the customer pay later than the something like that. And just in my opinion, the prompt payment discount may be more useful. Okay, the prompt payment discount may be more useful. This is just in my opinion. Why the prompt payment discount is more useful? Because you should know that if the customer doesn't want to pay you, even when you ask them to pay the payment fee, they may not care about it. Okay, they may not care about it. Later, you will know. Later, in the next few slides, you will know that why the customer doesn't care about the late payment fee. Because when the customer can extend the payment periods, you will see that the implicit cost of check credit will reduce significantly. You can see it in the next few slides, okay? And this tool is this slide shows you a tool for a company to collect money earlier, okay? Factoring is an action when you sell the account receivable to another company, and another company in this case will be called as a factor, okay? You can see here the firm will sell the goods to the customer, and then the firm will sell the account receivable to the factor. So later in the future, the customer will pay money not to the firm but to the factor, okay? And when the firm sell the account receivable to the factor will pay the firm an amount of money. So how can the factor make a profit here? Let's say that the account receivable is value, let's say 1 million USD, okay? So the company can sell the account receivable for a price of, let's say 0.95 million. Okay, so the factor will pay the firm 0.95 million, and then they will collect 1 million from the customer. That's how the factor can make profit. And in the end of this chapter, I give you a paper. Okay, you can download this paper on internet, and then you can read that paper. That paper talk about the factoring, the determinants of factoring. Okay. And if you remember, in the first part of this topic, I tell you that if you provide the trade credit to the customer, it means that you have to find some source of finance to finance for the account receivable. Okay, so basically here this slide shows you three ways to finance the account receivable. So the first way is the secure debt. The first way is to use the secure debt. So what does mean by secure debt? It means that you will use the account receivable as a collateral. You go to see a bank, okay, and you tell the bank that you want to borrow some money, and you will use the account receivable as the collateral. So this is the first way, okay, the secure debt. So the secure debt is different from the factoring, okay. The factoring means you sell the account receivable. However, for the secure debt, you don't sell the account receivable. You just use the account receivable as collateral, okay. And then you still have the right to collect the payment from the account receivable. Remember that. And the second way is to use the captive finance company. So what is the captive finance company? The captive finance company is a subsidiary of a firm, okay? Subsidiary of the firm. And the purpose of this subsidiary is to provide finance to the customer. The purpose of the captive finance company is to provide finance to the customer. And the captive finance company, usually you can find some captive finance company in the auto car industry, okay? In the auto car industry. For example, Toyota, okay, Toyota can establish, okay, a captive finance company, okay, if the customer do not have enough money to buy a car, they can go to the captive finance company to borrow some money, okay, and then you have money and you pay Toyota, okay. So in the future, in the future, you will have to pay money. You have to pay installment to the. You have to pay maybe monthly installment to the captive finance company, not to Toyota, something like that. So if the Toyota use the captive finance company, Toyota doesn't need to care about the collection process. Okay, it will make the financial situation of Toyota look very healthy. Okay, so the captive finance company, if you remember, the captive finance company will be similar to the SPV. Okay, the SPV is the special purpose vehicle. Okay, you can see the roles of the captive finance company is similar to the SPV. Okay, the SPV usually used in the foreign country. The benefit of the captive finance company is that it will make the parent company look more healthy. Okay. And the final way for a company to finance the trade credit is to securitize the account receivable. So what is the securitize the account receivable? You will sell the account receivable to a financial institution, okay? And the financial institution will buy many account receivable, okay? They put on the account receivable to, they will put the account receivable to one place, okay? And then they can divide the account receivable to many chains. And then they will sell the chains to the investor, something like that. Okay, any questions?
I have one about secured debt. I want is that why would banks accept loans as collaterals? Because I think it's just trading one type of debt for another.
Okay, basically you want to ask me why does the bank accept the account receivable as the collateral? Basically, the bank can accept any valuable asset as the collateral. Okay, the bank will access all the valuable asset as the collateral. The bank can accept the shipping, the shipping certification. The bank can accept the inventory. The bank can accept the fixed asset, and the bank also can accept the account receivable. Basically, when the bank provide money to a company or to a person, the bank want to see the ability to pay back the debt. Okay, and how can the bank know the ability of a company or of an individual to pay back the debt? The bank need to investigate the source of money, and because you see the account receivable later, if the company has the account receivable now, in the future the company can have money, and that will be the source of money the company used to pay back the debt. That's why the bank will accept the account receivable as the collateral.
Okay, I understand. I have one more question. I think that in securitization, what if there's a financial crisis that makes a lot of people unable to pay wouldn't that be very dangerous for investors?
Exactly. Honestly, what you are refer to is about the financial crisis in 2008. But the financial crisis in 2008 basically related to the housing bubble. Okay, in the normal time, even when in the financial crisis in 2008, maybe okay, basically you are correct. When okay, in the financial crisis, the ability, okay, now you can see the logic here is that the company sell the account receivable to a financial institution. So the financial institution need to collect money from the customer, okay, from the customer. So in the financial crisis, the ability of the customer to pay back the money is weak, okay. That's why the financial institution may not collect money, okay. So if the financial institution cannot collect money, what will happen? The financial institution will not have money to pay the investor who have already buy the securities. Do you understand? Basically,
Yep.
the financial institution cannot have money to pay the investor who have already buy the securities. So what does it mean? It means the financial institution will face the risk of bankruptcy. That things happen when in the financial crisis. And for the normal goods, not the housing, okay, the value of the account receivable is not much. The securitization is especially used for the housing industry. That's why in the financial crisis 2008 and 2009, I don't remember the name of the bank, maybe the Lehman Brothers, they also do the securitization, and that's why they collapse very quickly. But the thing is not because of the normal goods, it's because of the housing. Okay.
I just think that, well, when you talk earlier about how difficult it is for one firm to collect the receivable, and when I think about a financial institution buying a lot of receivable, I think the difficulty of collection would increase exponentially. That's what I think.
It's correct. Thank you. Okay, any other question? Okay. So now we will study about the payable management. And please remember my words a few minutes ago about if the company can extend the payment period, it can reduce the implicit cost of trade credit. That's why even when the company require the customer to pay now, otherwise the customer will have to pay a late payment fee. The customer will not care about it because the customer know that if they can extend the payment period, it can reduce the cost of trade credit significantly. Okay, it's the story of the next few slides. This slide tells you that how can you monitor the account payable. Basically, if you want to monitor the account payable, you need to calculate the need to calculate the account payable days. Okay, you need to calculate the accounts payable days. And again, you will have to compare the account payable days. The customer should compare the account payable days with the policy of the seller. Okay. Okay, let's do this example and then you will understand. This company has an average account payable balance of this amount. Its average daily cost of goods sold is 14,000. Okay. And the policy of the check credit is the 2/15 net 40. Okay. It means that if the company pay within 15 days, the company can enjoy 2% discount. Otherwise, the company can pay within 40 days. Okay. And this company choose to forgo the discount. It means that the company should pay after exactly 40 days. Okay. And now the question asked you, is the firm managing its account receivable, the account payable well? Okay. And now you will have to calculate the account payable outstanding. You have to calculate the account payable days outstanding. Okay. Okay, this slide you can have a quick a few seconds to read the slide. Okay. It's just repeat what I tell you. If the company accept the discount, the company will pay exactly at the day 15. If the company doesn't take the discount, the company should pay exactly at the day 40. Okay. And when you calculate the account payable days outstanding, you find out that the accounts payable days outstanding for the company is around 18 days. Okay. 18 days. So it suggests that the company managed the account payable not good, not very well. Why? Because by paying at the days of 18, the company give up the discount. Yeah, the company give up the discount. The company just need to pay 3 days earlier, and then the company can enjoy the 2% discount. And if the company select to forgo the discount, the company should pay in around 40 days. So this number should be maybe 39 or 39.5 or maybe 40 days. It should not be 18 days. It means that the company pays too early. Okay, too early. That's why we conclude that the firm is not managing the account payable very well here. In the final exam, you also have one question, something like this, okay? So you need to know how to calculate it. This question will be on point. Okay, so you have maybe 1 minute to answer this question.
되냐고.
Okay, so who can tell me about the account payable days outstanding for this company?
I can.
Uh-huh.
So in my calculation, because the account payable, the days payable outstanding for the company is 300,000 divided by 15,000 is 20 days. And because
Easy,
the firm,
right?
because the firm can, do I answer the rest of the question or just that?
Okay, you can answer the rest of the questions.
Okay. Because the firm can either choose to pay on the 15th day to get the discount or the 25th day, but its days payable outstanding is 20. That means the firm is not managing its account payable wealth and is wasting 5 days of its money.
Okay, good. Okay, Quốc Khánh, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, remember one thing. In the example, I always tell you that the company choose to forgo the discount. But in some situation, I will write that the company choose to take the discount. Okay, so you need to see what is your answer. How can your answer be different if I say that the company will select to take the discount? Okay, remember that. Now you will study a new terminology, the stretching. Okay, so what does mean by saying that we stretch the account payable? It means that the firm will ignore the payment due and pay the payment later. Okay, stretching account payable means that a firm ignore the payment due period and then pay the payment later. However, if you keep paying late, you will face two consequences. The first one is COD. It means the supplier can require you to pay the cash on delivery. It means the supplier will not provide the trade credit to you anymore. And in the worst case, the company can require you CBD. It means to pay cash before delivery. Okay, so if you want to buy the materials from your supplier, the supplier will require you to pay in advance, something like that. Okay, this one is a thing I tell you that the customer can ignore the late payment fee because they know that if they can extend the payment period to they can extend the payment period, it can reduce the implicit cost of trade credit significantly. Okay, so the credit term is 1/15 net 40. Okay, it means that if the company pay within 15 days, the company can enjoy 1% discount. In the other situation, the company must pay within 40 days. Okay, what happens if the company if the firm stretch the account payable to 60 days? Okay, you can see how the implicit cost of trade credit change in this situation. Okay, blah blah. This one you understand it. Okay, you pay one interest on the 99 USD. Okay, this one you know it. Okay. If you pay on time, then the 1 USD saving is over 25 days period, okay? Why 25? It will be equal 40 minus 15, okay? And if you extend the payment period, then the 1 USD saving will be over 45 days period, okay? So now you can calculate the implicit cost of trade credit. So if you extend the payment period, now the effective annual cost is just 8.49%. Okay. However, if you pay on time, the implicit cost of trade credit will be 15.8%. So you can see that by extending the trade credit, by extending the payment period, you can reduce the implicit cost of trade credit a half. Can you see that? It will reduce from around 16% to around 8.5%, something like that. That's why sometimes in some situation, the customer will ignore the late payment fee. Okay. Okay, this one. I give you maybe 1 minute to calculate this one. Okay, Ngọc Mai. Basically, for this question, you need to calculate the implicit cost of trade credit. You are required to calculate the implicit cost of trade credit, okay, for when the company doesn't
Yes.
stretch the account payable, and when the company stretch the account payable, okay? So what is your result?
Yes,
What is your result?
Teacher, can I do this?
You can.
When the company doesn't stretch the account payable, then it would be 44.56%.
Okay, can you repeat it? For
it is 44.56%. And when the company stretch the account payable, it would be 15.88%.
Like this? Is this correct? Okay.
I have a different calculation. I think that when it stretched the account payable, it has a 27.85%. When it's stretched, yeah, that's this one, that one. When it doesn't stretch, I have the same result.
Oh, really? You mean that when the company test the account payable, the result will be 27?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay, so let me calculate it. Okay, for this one, you can calculate it by yourself, okay? So, for this one, it will be 1 plus 2 over 98, okay, not 99, okay? It must be 98. And to the power 365 divided by how many? 50. Okay. And minus 1. Okay, let me calculate it. My result will be 15.89%.
Yeah. I'm mistaken. I was mistaken.
Okay, anyway, it's normal when you make a mistake. Okay, so can you tell me when did you make the mistake so that your friend can avoid it?
I actually thought that the time we can use once we delay payment, we have to use for 30 days instead of 50 days. That's my mistake.
Okay, I see. So you put 30 here. I see. Okay, so the result is the 15.89 or 15.89 or 15.88% is okay. Okay, so what is the name of the girl?
My name is Ngọc Linh.
Okay, Ngọc Linh, I see you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, remember in the final exam we also had the same question, okay? For this type of question, I didn't change the words, I just changed the number. So you should be able to calculate it. Okay, any questions? Okay, if you don't have any question, we will have a break now, okay? We will have maybe 10 or 15 minutes break. Okay, so before we study the next topic, I may need to remind you that you may have the first presentation about the case study next week, okay? Okay, Chang, are you here with me? The monitor of the class?
Yeah.
So, do you know how many classes do we have left for this course?
12 or 13.
I mean, how many classes do we have left? I mean, do you know when our class will finish?
We have 8 weeks left.
Okay, we have 8 weeks left. Including this one or not?
Today, if we conclude today, so we have 7.
If we exclude today, we have 7. Okay, let me see. Okay. So we have, let's say that we have 7 weeks left. Okay. So let me see how many days for presentation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. We will have maybe 6 weeks for presentation, right? And I told you that for each week we will have 2 presentation. Okay, I see. Okay, so this slide is for the presentation information. Okay. So remember that next week, okay, next week will be the commencing week for presentation. Okay. Maybe next week I will spend 1 hour. I will spend 1 hour for the length of the chapter about inventory management, and then we will have 1 or 2 weeks presenting next week. Okay. If we have only 1 week presenting next week, so in the week after next week, we may have 3 group presentation. Okay, I mean that. Okay, we will keep the order of the presentation. Okay. However, we will be flexible about the number of group presenting for each week. Okay, maybe for this week the case study is short and we can present 3 case studies. And for the other week, maybe the case study is long, and then we can have only 2 case studies for that week. Something like that. However, you have to submit the slide. Okay, Chang, can you send me the list of the students for each group?
I sent you already.
Really? Send me via email, right?
No, I sent you to your number.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, it's okay. Can you send it to me again? Okay, Farid. Okay. You send it to me via the Google Doc, right? Okay. Farid. Okay, so you don't give Okay, so in the group you send me in the file you send me, you don't tell the order of the group, right? You don't. I mean, you don't show the order of the group, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just wait me a minute. I need to open the case study file here. Okay. Just wait. Okay, so case studies. Okay. So okay, maybe I will need to record this one so that you will remember. Okay, so for the first group BBC, okay, for the first and the second group BBC and Signet Jeweler, okay, BBC. Trần Việt Khánh, Kiều Trang, Minh Ngọc, Hoàng Việt, okay, for the BBC group and for the Signet Jeweler, you will have to submit the slide to me. You will have to submit your slide to me by the end of this Sunday, okay? Okay, for the BBC and Signet group, you will have to submit the slide to me by the end of this Sunday. I mean, before the 14th March, okay? And for this one, Coromandel and LP, okay? You have to submit the slide to me before 21st of March, okay? And for JC Penny and Primo, JC Penny, okay, before maybe 28th of March, okay? Really? And for this one, John J and Coffee, the deadline will be the 4th of April. Menis and Horniman. The deadline will be 11th of April. And for the final two case studies, the Xiangzhen and Homestar, the deadline will be 18th April, okay? So this is the deadline for the group to submit the slide for me, okay? For example, let me see. For example, for the BBC case study, okay, Trần Việt Khánh, Kiều Trang, Minh Ngọc, Hoàng Việt, you will have to submit the slide to me by the end of this Sunday. For the Signet group, here, Tuấn Phong, Nhật Linh, Diệu Hoa, Khánh Phương, you will have to submit the slide to me by the end of this Sunday, okay? for example, for the, let's say for the JC Penny and the Primo, okay? JC Penny. Okay, for Lê Khánh Linh, Yến Nhi, Ngọc Minh, Thu Hương, Tuấn Dũng, and Primo. Hà Thảo, Hạnh Duyên, Bảo Anh, Thu Phương, Minh Anh, okay? For your group, you would have to submit the slide to me before or by the end of 28th of March, okay? If you submit later, then this day I will reduce your mark, okay? And you will submit the slide not only to me, but also to your friend, okay? So that your friend can read the slide before the presentation. And, okay, and, for example, okay, this group, okay, the Signet group will have to ask 2 questions for the BBC group, okay? And the BBC group also have to ask question for the Signet group, okay? At least 2 questions. Okay, let's say first or A, okay? And here is B. Okay, you know what I mean, and so on, okay? The first case study will be A and the second case study will be B. So basically, okay, I will try some policy here. Basically, the presentation group needs to submit the slide to me and your friend before the deadline shown above, okay? Okay, and the group A or the presentation A, we have to ask 2 questions for the group B. Let's say the group, okay? Group A will have to ask 2 questions for group B, okay? For example, the BBC group will have to ask 2 questions for the Signet group, and the Signet group will have to ask 2 questions for the BBC group, something like that, okay? And during the presentation, if you have any question, for the presentation group, you can ask them immediately, okay? You can ask them immediately. You don't need to wait until the end. You don't need to wait until the end of the presentation. And this is how I mark your presentation, okay? Okay, if you just read the slide, okay, for example, you write a lot of things in the slide, and if you just read the slide, you will have a low score, okay? If you make some basic, okay, I mean the very basic mistake. For example, when you calculate the days payable outstanding, or when you calculate the days DSO, the days sale outstanding, if you make some basic mistake, you also have a low score, okay? However, for the other mistake, for example, you analyze something wrong, you think that this one is correct or that one is correct, it's okay. I will not reduce your mark because of those things. However, as I told you, if you just read the slide and you don't have any contact with your friend, you will have a low score, okay? And if you make some basic mistake, basically, if you make mistake about calculating some financial ratio, you will have a low score. Anything else? Okay, anything else you need to ask me about the presentation? So basically, maybe next week after I finish the chapter about the inventory management, we can present the first case study, the BBC, okay? And if we still have time, we can present the Signet case study. Even we can present a half of the Signet case study next week, and the other half of this case study in the week after next week. Okay, something like that. And after the Signet group, it will be the Coromandel and the LB case study. And then after that will be the JC, Penny, and the Brimo, something like that, okay?
Teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't have a class offline next week, so we'll still present online.
Mm-hmm. I remember I also told you this one. If we don't have the offline class next week, we will have to present online. And when we present online, you will have to show your camera, okay? So that I will see you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Or in the worst case, if we still have to study online next week, maybe I will teach you the other things. Okay. Okay, but basically, even when we study, even when we don't have any presentation next week, this still be the deadline for you to submit the slide for your case study. Okay.
Teacher, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a time limit for each of our presentation?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good. The time limit for the presentation will be from 50 minutes to 70 minutes. Okay. Not including Q&A. Okay. And okay, this is how you present the case study. Okay. Firstly, you need to summarize the case study. Okay. And then you can start answering the questions. Okay. And you can use more information. You can use the information outside the case study. Okay. For example, for some case study, it takes the information from the real life. So if you want, you can use Google and you can search the information about the company. Okay, something like this. Any other questions? Just be careful about this one, okay? A lot of students made the same mistake. And we still have the midterm test, okay? And maybe I will let you know about the midterm test 1 week before the test, okay? For example, if next week we will not have the test. However, if basically I will let you know when we have the test. Basically 1 week before the test. And remember, the midterm test will be the midterm test will be the 90 minutes. Okay. Close book test. Okay. Okay, any questions? Okay, so let me ask a student.
Teacher,
Uh-huh.
can we bring a cheat sheet for the midterm test?
You know, for the last year student, I allow them to bring an A4 paper, and then you can write anything on the A4 paper. But this year, you are not allowed to do that. Why? Because last year they study kind of intensively. They study in 3 weeks continuously. But this year you study in 12 weeks. Okay, you don't study in 3 weeks, so you have enough time to digest the formula. And honestly, if I think that if you understand the lesson, you can understand the logic, okay? So I will not allow you to bring the something like the cheat sheet in the exam room, okay? You should know one thing. When I study a master in UK, I have to read a lot of things, and I even cannot bring any materials into the exam room. I just can bring my pen, my calculator, my eraser, and sometimes I can bring the dictionary, okay? If you want, you can bring the dictionary, but just the dictionary, you cannot write anything in the dictionary, okay? The only thing you can bring in to the exam room is the dictionary, okay? Not anything else. Any questions? Okay, let me ask. Okay, Kiều Trang. So how did you prepare for the presentation?
We just answer the question. We haven't prepared the slides. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know if you want to present the case study, if you want, you can show in slide, okay? Or for some calculation question, if you want, you can show the Excel, okay? You can show your friend how you have the result, something like that.
Now?
Okay. No, I mean not now. I mean when you present the case study, instead of just showing the slide. Last year, a few group showing the Excel file to show how they have the result, and in the slide they just show the final result. But in the Excel file, they show how they can come up with the result. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
So it's just depend on you.
Yeah.
Okay, now I just see a question from Quốc Khánh. He asked me why is the payable outstanding equal account receivable divided by cost of goods sold? Really? The days payable outstanding will equal the account payable.
Okay. Yeah. I misspelled that one.
But
I still don't understand why.
It will equal account payable divided by the daily. Exactly, it's the daily cost of goods sold. Okay. And when you calculate the daily cost of goods sold, it will equal the cost of goods sold divided by 360 or 365, something like that. And for some situation, if you cannot find the information about the cost of goods sold, you can use this formula. Daily sales, okay? However, as I told you before, you can use either this formula or this formula, but it needs to be consistent. If you use the first formula for company A, you also have to use the same formula for the company B and for the company C, something like that. Understand? If you use the second formula for this year, you also have to use the second formula for the previous year, okay? You just cannot mix the formula, something like that. Because when you read the financial statement of a lot of companies, especially the unlisted one, you will find out that the financial statement of the unlisted company is very terrible. You cannot find the information about the cost of goods sold or about the depreciation expenses. For the listed company, you can find easily, but for the small company, you just cannot find the information about the cost of goods sold. Okay?
Yeah, okay, got it.
Okay, so any question about the presentation? Okay, so I assume that you don't have any question. Let me take a picture about this one. So remember the deadline, okay? Oh, and another thing, okay? In the slide, you have to write the name of the member, okay? Last year, a few group doesn't write the name of the member in the slide, so it will it would take me a lot of time to find what student belong to what group. Okay, so this year try to remember to write the name in the name of your member in the slide. Okay. Okay. Let's see the next chapter. Oh, here. Okay, let me ask a student. Hoàng Chị Phương Anh. Phương Anh.
Yes.
When will be the deadline for you to submit the slide?
Our book is Group 8, so our deadline is April 4.
Okay. Correct. Okay, thank you. Okay, so today we will study this chapter, inventory management. Maybe we will study a half of this chapter today and a half of this chapter next week, okay? This is the objective of our chapter. Basically, for the first two objectives, it's easy for you to understand. However, for this one, it's a little bit more difficult. For the stochastic model of inventory management, it's a little bit more difficult for you. Any idea about the word stochastic meaning? So do you know what I mean by the word stochastic?
Is it involve randomly distributed?
Exactly. When you say that something is stochastic, it means that thing is random. Okay, it can go up, it can go down, it follow a random walk, something like that. Basically, you cannot predict anything about a stochastic variable. It's correct. Okay. So this slide shows you why is inventory management important to the financial health of a firm. Okay. This one is easy, right? If you don't have enough inventory, you can experience a loss in sale and you also lost the customer. Okay, let's see. Okay, basically, this chapter is easy, so we have a lot of blank slides, so you may need to write. So basically, if your company doesn't store enough inventory, it can lead to the lost sale or lost customer. Okay. However, if you store a lot of inventory more than necessary, you will have to pay a lot of cost. Okay, and the cost related to storing the inventory, we say that is the carrying cost. Okay. Carrying cost may be the warehouse cost, maybe the insurance cost, okay, or maybe the obsolescence cost, okay. When you store a lot of inventory, you cannot sell it quickly, and when the new product come to the market, your product may be outdated, something like that, and you don't need to do anything. The value of your outdated inventory will reduce automatically, something like that. And the worst thing will be this one. The worst thing will be this one. You store a lot of inventories, but you store the wrong item. So you will have the high carrying cost, and you will face the risk of lost customer, something like this. So this one is the most terrible things. Okay. And in order to reduce the risk of this one, later you will know that we have a management named ABC inventory management methods. Okay. Later you will know that. This slide shows you the type of inventory. Okay. So for the manufacturing firm, we have the raw materials. Okay. We have the work in progress, and we have the finished goods. Okay. And different type of inventory can vary dramatically in terms of liquidity. I remember I told you which one has the highest liquidity, right? So, okay, let's see. Hứa Ngọc Minh, which one will be the item that have the highest liquidity? Okay, Hứa Ngọc Minh.
Dạ.
You understand my questions? Okay. Basically, I just tell your friend that for a manufacturing firm, we have raw materials. Okay. We have the work in progress. Okay. We have the finished goods. So for the three items here, which one will have the highest liquidity?
I think it's a finished good.
Why?
Because I think finished good is sell for the customer.
So
and the raw material thì sẽ bán cho các factory khác, so em nghĩ là nó khó bán hơn.
Okay, Quốc Khánh.
I think raw material is the most liquid. It's the most liquid form of inventory, mostly because a lot more people can use the raw material than they can use finished goods. You can only sell finished goods to consumers and retailers, while raw materials can be used by a lot more variety of producers.
You are correct. I remember I asked the same question for a student in the first week, okay, and that student made the same mistake. I think he also select the finished good, okay, but the answer will be the raw materials. The raw materials will be the item that has the highest liquidity. Okay, good. Okay, Quốc Khánh. Oh, for your information, okay, I just have a list of the students with some plus point here. For example, Sĩ Đức has 1 plus, okay, Đức Hiếu 2, Phương Hoa 1, Thế Hùng 2, Quốc Khánh 3, okay, Thái Ngọc Linh 1, Võ Đức Duy Minh 1, okay, and Thu Uyên 1, okay. So basically, I will repeat again for this point, okay. Firstly, I will add to the attendant point first, and if the attendant if the attendance point is full, okay, I mean 10. If you get 10 for the attendance points, I will add to the midterm test, and then I will add to the presentation, something like that.
Sure, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask about the attendance point. So, how can we get the maximum attendance points? Like, if a student do not miss any lessons, like attend full lesson, full 12 lesson, I guess. So, can he or she get the full attendance points of 10 or just 8 or 9?
This is a good question. I remember based on my syllabus, the attendance point will be based on not only whether or not you attend the class, but also based on your participation. Okay. However, in my class, if you attend the class and if you don't have any absent, I will give you 10. Okay. And usually for the first absent, I will reduce 1 point. For the second absent, I may reduce 1 or 2 points. Okay. So I need to see the situation of the whole class first, because sometimes I will adjust. Okay. I will adjust the point of the student based on the whole situation. But basically, if you are absent one time, you cannot get 10 for the attendance point. Okay. And if you don't have any absent tick in here, you will have the full score for the attendance point.
All right, I see. Thank you, teacher.
I don't understand why, but my laptop never share the Excel file. I don't understand why. Maybe when we are on the class, I will show you the attendance point for all of your friends. Okay. Okay, so this slide shows you the objective of inventory management. Okay, so basically we have the operating objective and we have the financial objective. For the operating objective, we need to store the inventory to make sure that the company has enough raw materials. Okay. And our objective is also to minimize the wastage. Okay, we don't want to waste a lot of inventory, something like that. And we want to better service the customer. We don't want to lose customer in the future. And the final objective is to control the production level. Okay. Maybe I will explain this one more to you. Okay. When I say the control of production level, I want to say about the way the company increase or decrease the production because of the increase or decrease in the demand. Okay, in the demand of the company product, something like this. Okay. So in the peak season, maybe the company will store more inventory, and in the off-peak season, maybe the company will decrease the inventory level. So that's what I mean about the control the production level. Okay. For the financial objective, we have to manage the inventory in order to enjoy the discount. Okay, enjoy the discount when purchasing materials. Okay, for example, if you buy less than 1,000 product, you may not have any price discount. However, if you buy more than 1,000 product, you may have 1 or 2% discount in the price. Okay, so the inventory management is also related to the price discount when you purchase the materials. Okay, and you want to maximize the use. You want to maximize the efficiency of the use of capital. Okay, you don't want to invest a lot in inventory, but you also don't want to lose customer because you don't store in enough inventory. So what is the optimal investment in the inventory for your company? Something like that. So that thing also the objective of inventory management. You have to identify the optimal point. Okay, optimal point. Later, when you study the economic ordering quantity, the EOQ model, you will know how we can identify the optimal investment in inventory. Okay, basically you don't want to store a lot of inventory and you don't want to lose customer. Okay, you have to check out between the benefit and the cost of having inventory, something like that. Okay, this one. So as I told you before, we have one method to manage the inventory. We say that we call this method is the ABC analysis. Okay, for the ABC analysis, basically you will classify your inventory into many categories. Okay, for example, in this case, I will classify my inventory to 3 categories, A, B, and C. Okay, and the inventory A will has the quantity of only 20%, but the value of the inventory A is very high. Okay, the value of inventory A is 70% of the total value of inventory. Okay, so we can say that the inventory A is the most valuable inventory to the company. For the inventory B, the quantity will be around 30% of the total quantity. However, the value of inventory B is just around 20% of the total value. Okay, and for the inventory C, the quantity of the inventory C will be 50%. However, the value of the inventory C is just 10% of the total value. So if you can classify the inventory into some group like this, you will pay more attention to the valuable inventory. In this case, you will pay more attention to the inventory A. Okay, you will pay more attention to the inventory A, and you will pay less attention to the inventory C. Okay, so this is the ABC analysis. Okay, any questions? We also have on theory questions about this one in the final exam. I remember, don't worry, I will give you a list of the questions in the end of the course. Okay, so don't need to worry about that. Okay, this slide tells you about the inventory cost. We have carrying cost and we have the shortage cost. Okay, and we need to minimize the total cost. Okay, I will give you maybe. Okay, we will have maybe a 10 minutes break. Okay, and then we can continue studying. Okay, so from this slide, basically from this slide we will talk about the economic ordering quantity. Okay, economic ordering quantity. So this slide, firstly, it introduced about the inventory cost. So inventory cost will include the carrying cost and the shortage cost. Okay, and the carrying cost will include the storage and the tracking cost. Easy to understand. Okay, it will include the insurance. If you buy the inventory, you have to pay the fee for the insurance to in case you would have a fire in the warehouse or something like that. And as I told you before, you also face the losses due to the obsolescence, or just maybe because of the theft or the deterioration. Okay, and if you buy the inventory, you have to pay money. How can you have money? You have to borrow from some bank. Okay, for example, so if you store a lot of inventory, you will have a higher opportunity cost of capital. Okay, if you don't want the worst opportunity, you can put it in the bracket. Basically, if you store a lot of inventory, you will have to pay a high level of cost of capital. Okay, it may be either cost of debt or cost of equity, but in most of the cases, it will be the cost of debt. And for the shortage cost, it will include the restocking cost and the lost sale or lost customer. This one may be easy for you. So what is the restocking cost? The restocking cost will be mainly the cost you have to pay in order to deliver the inventory to your warehouse. Okay, if you store a low level of inventory, you will have to deliver the inventory a lot of times, so the restocking cost will increase. And if you store a high level of inventory, maybe the restocking cost will be low because you don't need to deliver the inventory a lot of times, something like that. So when you manage the inventory, you have to manage the inventory cost. Okay, and the inventory cost will equal the total of carrying cost and shortage cost, and you have to find the optimal level of inventory in order to minimize the total cost. You can have a small note here. The carrying cost will increase when you store a high level of inventory. Okay. However, shortage cost will reduce when you hold a high level of inventory. Okay. And the opposite is true. If you hold a low level of inventory, the carrying cost will reduce. However, the shortage cost will increase. Okay. So basically, you will have to find a level of inventory holding so that the total cost will be minimized. Okay. So the first model we study will be the ordering quantity. Okay. In this one, all the values are known with certainty. Okay. All the values are known with certainty. That's why the economic ordering quantity will be a deterministic model. Okay. Deterministic means that everything you know. Okay. Later, you will study more about the deterministic model. But now you can understand that the economic ordering quantity, the EOQ, will be a specific case of deterministic model. Okay, and we assume that the inventory usage is uniform over time. It means that the rate of using inventory will be a straight line, like this one. In the beginning of the period, you store a level of Q inventory, and then the level reduced to 0, okay? So the average level of inventory will be Q plus 0 divided by 2, and it will equal Q over 2, okay? And you will assume that the carrying cost will change proportionally with the change in the inventory level. What does it mean? It means that if your inventory level increased by 1%, the carrying cost also increased by 1%. Okay?
Nói chỗ đó thì ăn được một gói ấy.
If the inventory increases by 1%, the carrying cost also increase by 1%. Okay, something like that.
Yeah.
And you on the ordering cost are fixed or on the restock. Let's see. Say the restocking cost, okay, are fixed, okay. Later you will understand more about this one. Firstly, about the carrying cost, okay. We assume that the carrying cost will rise in direct proportion to the average amount of inventory carries, okay. This one I explained to you before. So, if we assume that a firm purchased the inventory at the price P, so the average inventory value will be equal P multiplied by the average inventory, which is equal Q over 2, okay? So the average inventory value will be P multiplied by Q over 2, okay? And because we assume that the carrying cost increase in direct proportion to the inventory, so we can assume or we can define the percentage carrying cost SC, okay? SC. So the annual total carrying cost will be C multiplied by P multiplied by Q over 2, okay? Let's see. I will show you. Okay.
Nhà mình không
Okay,
dùng
so
tốn giấy
at
là
this
chứ.
point, if you don't understand, don't worry. When we do the example, you will understand. But the reason why we can assume the annual percentage carrying cost SC is because the carrying cost will rise in direct proportion to the inventory. Okay. For example, here. For example, if C equal 0.2, what can happen? If C equals 0.2, if the value of the amount of inventory is 100, the carrying cost will be 100 multiplied by 0.2 equal 20. Okay. And if the value of the amount of inventory is, let's say, 200, so the carrying cost will be 40, okay? 200 multiplied by 0.2, and the carrying cost will be 40. So the reason why we assume that we need to have the percentage carrying cost SC is because we assume that the carrying cost rise in direct proportion to the inventory. Okay. So we need to have some kind of factor, and we call the factor SC. So if you hold a high level of inventory, the total carrying cost will increase. You need a factor to express that things. Okay. and then we have the total ordering cost, and we assume that the ordering cost, let's say each time, okay, are fixed, okay, and it will not rise in direct proportion to the inventory. What does it mean? For example, if your ordering costs are 1,000 USD, if your ordering costs are 1,000 USD, whether or not you order 1 unit or 10 unit or 10 million unit, okay, the ordering cost will be 1,000 USD for one time, okay? Understand? That's why I tell you that the ordering cost for each time will not change. However, the ordering cost for a year will change, okay? The ordering cost for a year may change, okay? If you order 2 times, the total ordering cost will be 2 multiplied by 1,000 as in the previous example, and it will equal 2,000 USD. So I hope you understand me. I mean, okay, the ordering cost for each time will not change. It will be fixed. However, the total ordering cost for a year will increase with the number of times you order. The more time you order, the higher the total ordering cost.
Bà này chứ đừng người Việt dạy thế.
Okay.
Nhưng mà tôi
And assume that a firm sells S unit per year. Okay. And
của Ấn
Q
Độ
unit will
đủ
be
các loại.
purchased
Có phải ai
with
nói
each
tiếng Anh
order.
đâu.
So the number of orders
Đau hết cả đầu.
per year will be S over Q. Okay. For example,
không có người ta nói hay.
Tất nhiên nhưng mà nó
if
con học
you
một
need,
ông
let's say
học toán
100,000
học của một ông người từ
units
học từ Đức về nói
per
như đánh
year,
nhau,
okay.
ông này còn đỡ chán.
and you want to order,
Ông này ông còn phát âm rõ
let's say
cái từ đấy.
20,000
Còn ông
units
kia ông còn phát âm sai.
for each time. So the number of orders will be 100,000 divided by 20,000, and it will equal 5. Okay. So it means that in this example, you will have to order 5 times.
1.000 and you want to order for 3 times.
And we define the fixed cost, or we assume the fixed cost associated with the ordering inventories SS. Okay. So the total ordering cost will be F multiplied by the number of ordering. Okay.
And you want to order.
So in our previous example, F equal 1,000 USD. Okay. For each time, the company will have to pay 1,000 for the ordering cost. So the total ordering cost in our example will equal 1,000 multiplied by 5, and it will equal 5,000 USD. So for each time, the ordering cost will be fixed. However, for the total ordering cost, it will increase with the proportion of the number you order for each year. Okay. That's why we come up with the formula here. The total inventory cost will equal the total carrying cost plus the total ordering cost. So TIC will equal C multiplied by P multiplied by Q over 2. This is the average inventory level, okay? And plus F multiplied by S over Q, where C is the annual carrying cost. And remember, C must be in the percentage form. And P is the purchase price per unit, okay? And Q will be the number of units per year. And F is the fixed cost. S is the annual usage in unit, okay? So we need to solve Q in order to minimize the total inventory cost. And similar to the Bowman model, you can do it by taking the derivative of total inventory cost with respect to quantity. Okay. And you can see this one, CP multiplied by Q over 2. If you take the derivative of this part, okay, with respect to Q, it will equal CP over 2. Okay, CP over 2. And if you take the derivative of this part with respect to Q, it will equal minus Fs over Q squared. Okay, Fs over Q squared here. And you solve this one to make it equal 0. So Q star will equal the square root of 2Fs over Cp. Okay. So we have the EOQ graph here. Okay, the TIC will equal the total of carrying cost and the ordering cost. And we need to find the level of Q in order to minimize the total inventory cost. And you will find out that at the optimal point, at the optimal level of inventory, the carrying cost will equal the ordering cost. Okay, at this point. So assume that we have the following data. Okay. So can you calculate the optimal level for the inventory for me? You have maybe 1 minute, okay? 1 minute to calculate it.
Total inventory. Okay. C không nhân P Q.
Okay, let's see.
Teacher, can I ask about the derive the EOQ equation, because I haven't wrote it down yet.
Okay, it's here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, equal to FSCP. Thank you.
Okay, so Yến Nhi.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so what is your result?
So I calculate the EOQ by the result is 500.
It's correct, thank you. But you know, in the final exam, I will not ask you this kind of question. I will ask you the other kind of question. For example, I will ask you this one. Instead of ask you to calculate the optimal level of inventory, I can ask you the optimal total inventory cost. Okay. Or I can ask you the optimal level of total carrying cost. You know what I mean? So basically, I will not ask you this number. This number is too easy. So I will ask you, so what is the optimal level of inventory cost? So I will ask you this one. So firstly, you will have to calculate the optimal level of inventory, okay? And then you substitute the optimal level into this formula, and then you can calculate the optimal level for total inventory cost, okay? So the optimal level for the total inventory cost will be 20,000 USD. And the optimal for the total carrying cost and the optimal level for the ordering cost will be 10,000 USD. Okay, it's easy. So in the final exam, I may ask you to calculate this one, or I can require you to calculate this one.
Anh bên này mình bảo sao quạnh ra câu ghét học là đúng.
Is this too quick for you? Can you see the result here?
Yeah.
Because I remember I don't provide any solution for you in the slide. Okay, so you have a few seconds to read the slide here. Okay. Or maybe I will ask you, so what is the, I can ask you, what is the optimal average inventory? Okay, remember, I asked you the average optimal inventory. I don't ask you the Q star. So you also have to answer it. You can answer it by dividing the EOQ by 2, okay? Or maybe I can ask you the optimal number of order per year, okay? So you have to calculate the Q star and then you take the S divided by the Q star, something like this, and then you can find out the number of order per year, the optimal number order per year. Okay, any questions?
No, thanks, teacher. No, thanks.
Okay, any questions?
No, thanks.
Teacher?
Mm-hmm.
The ordering cost is the other name for the shortest cost?
No.
No, restoring cost.
Oh, really?
I see what you mean. The ordering cost, you know. Okay, I will go back to this slide. You have a very good question. Oh, this one. Honestly, the ordering cost refer to this cost, okay? But, okay, in this case, you can say that the ordering cost equal the shortest cost. Why? Because it will be very difficult for you to quantify this one. You know what I mean? It will be very difficult for you to quantify or find a formula for this cost. For this cost caused by the lost sale or lost customer, you cannot quantify or you cannot construct a model or a formula to quantify the cost here. That's why the ordering cost in the EOQ model will equal the shortest cost. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, I do.
You have a very good question. What's your name?
My name is Hoa.
What's Hoa?
My name is Phương Hoa.
You have a very good question. You are clever.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay, any other questions?
I do. I just want to ask, what is the point of the minimum ordering size?
The points, Okay, this one. You want to ask about this one, right? This information, you don't need to use this information in our example. However, you will have to use this information if the Q star is smaller than 250. I remember I also have one example, a similar example about the Beaumont model about this one. For example, if you calculate the EOQ and you find out that the EOQ is, let's say 200, okay? If you find out that the EOQ is 200, so what is the optimal level of inventory? It must be 250, right? Because you cannot order an amount of inventory smaller than 250. Do you understand? Okay, let's see.
Yeah. Okay.
So if the EOQ is smaller than 250, the optimal level for the ordering will be 250, something like this. Okay.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, any questions? Okay, let's see. This bit. Okay, let's see what happened. Let's see what happened if the company doesn't order at the optimal quantity. If the company doesn't order at the optimal quantity, let's say lower or higher than the optimal point, 400 units or 600 units, you can see what happened to the total inventory cost. Okay, you want to see whether or not the total inventory cost increases as in the theory. Okay, so you can see here, if you order at the 400 unit, the total inventory cost will equal, okay, C 0.2, okay, P 200, okay. Now Q will equal 400, okay, and you have to divide it by 2 to calculate the average level of inventory, plus 1,000 the fixed cost of ordering cost, multiplied by 5,000. Now you divide it by 400. Okay, so it will equal 20,500 USD. So basically, if you order at a level lower than the optimal point, you will have added cost. Okay. Now let's see what happened if you order at a level higher than the optimal point. If you order at a level higher than the optimal point, you can calculate the added cost in the same way, in the same manner. Okay, and you will find out that the total inventory cost will be 20,333. Okay, so the added cost in this case will be 333. Okay, and basically you can use the same calculation to prepare this table. Okay, we can skip this slide for the time being. Okay, let's see. Okay, the first note, at any quantity that is different from the EOQ, the total inventory cost will be higher. Okay, and then you have the second note here. The added cost of not ordering the EOQ is not large if the quantity order is close to the EOQ. Here you can see in this table, if you order at the quantity of 400 or 600, the added cost is the 2.5 or 1.67% above the optimal total inventory cost. However, the further the quantity you order, the higher the total inventory cost. So I hope you understand this one. Okay, if you order at a quantity that is further from the optimal point, the percentage deviation from the optimal total inventory cost will be significant, something like that. Okay, so if you order at the level lower than the economic ordering quantity, then the total carrying cost will be low. Okay, will be low. However, you have to order a lot of times. That will increase the ordering cost. And the opposite is true. If you order at a level higher than the economic ordering quantity, you have to store more inventory, so the total carrying cost will increase. Okay, the total carrying cost will increase. but the ordering cost will decrease, something like that. Okay, I will save the rest of the chapter for next week. So I will ask a student to summarize what we studied today. Okay, Quốc Khánh.
Oh my God.
Yes, I'm here.
Can you summarize the topic we studied today? Basically, you need to summarize what we studied in the previous chapter and in this chapter.
Hold on, I'm opening the previous chapter.
Okay, take your time. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we start with what's left of chapter 3, and the first thing we learn outside of chữa bài cho lần trước is monitoring account receivable. In this part we learn about how to calculate the account receivable days, which I just asked you in the previous question, and how we can formulate an aging schedule, and finally the payment patterns, which provides information on sales that the firms collect each month after the sales. And the aging schedule is the simplest part, because you only need to find the amount outstanding and then compare it to the days, and then list it on the days outstanding from 1 to 10, 11 to 30, and etc., and then put them in the percentage to see how much each amount outstanding compares to 100%. Next is collection effort. This one, firms have 4 ways to collect from customers that are past due, but as you said, most firms use the first 2, which are send a delinquency letter and make a telephone call to the customer, mostly because employing a collection agency and take legal actions can cost a lot more than what they can recover with their account receivable. Late payment fees and then we study about late payment fees and prompt payment accounts, and prompt payment discounts. And prompt payment discounts are more favorable because, as we learn later, late payment fees don't really matter that much when the holder of your account receivable can save a lot more from stretching their account receivable. And that's the reason why most firms use factoring, which is basically letting someone else collecting their payment for them in exchange for 95 or 85% of the total value of the account receivable, in order to, I'm guessing this one improves the liquidity of the account receivable. And then we learn how they finance trade credits. So there are 3 ways. Secured debt, which is mostly used with banks, in which firms will use their account receivable as collateral for a loan from the banks. Captive finance companies, which in the example you made are mostly about auto firms to make their bookkeeping looks good. And finally, securitization, in which one large financial institution will buy a lot of account receivables from different firms, put them into a pool, and then sell the securities to investors for a steady stream of payment. Lastly is account payable management. And so in this part, we learn how firms can effectively manage the account payable. And the only 2 important dates we have to remember is the first date, and the last one is the last date in which the discount is viable, and the final day that the final day in which the full amount is due. Because once we calculate them by using the account payable days formula we learned earlier, we'll see that to maximize the management of account payable. They can only pick one of those 2 days. Let's see. Oh, the last part we learned on chapter 3 is cost of trade credit with stretch account payables. It's a decision of whether or not one should stretch the account payables. And well, basically by calculating the interest rate per period, and then they compare the interest rate per period of paying the account on the final day, or paying the account on a fixed day stretched from that period. And usually most firms benefit a lot more from a stretch account payable than they have to suffer from the penalty for not paying on time. And on chapter 4, I'm opening chapter 4. Chapter 4 is about managing inventory. There are 3 types of inventory that they need to manage. The first is raw material, then work in progress, and then finished goods. They vary widely in terms of liquidity, but in general, you can put it like this: raw material is the most liquid, and then work in progress, and then finished goods, as I have explained earlier in my questions. So there are two main type of objectives for inventory management. The first is operating objectives, and second is financial objectives. The operating objectives you can summarize as just-in-time production, because it concerns mostly about the availability of materials, minimizing wastage, and better service for customers. And financial objectives are economy in purchasing, optimal and efficient use of capital. And as we can see from the chart of ABC analysis, we can see that the first 20, we should categorize our inventory based on the quantity and the value, in which we should value the ones that have the most value to the company when they usually take up the least quantity. For example, from 0 to A, the quantity of A is only 20%, but they make up 70% of the inventory value. And from A to B, the increase is 30% in quantity, but they only make up for a 20% increase in value. And next is 50% and 10%. So we should value A the most. So the inventory costs have carrying costs, shortage costs, and in carrying costs we have storage, insurance, losses. And the last part is also one I don't understand, is the opportunity cost of capital. In shortage costs, we have restocking costs and lost sale of lost customer. But mostly we concern ourselves with restocking costs, because lost sale or lost customers are very hard to study properly. And then we learn about the economic ordering quantity, or the EOQ model, in which we assume that the rate of usage for quantity is constant in time, and we only order new quantity after we have ordered new materials, after we have depleted the previous order, and all ordering costs are fixed. This would mean that if a firm purchases inventory at a price P, that the average inventory is Q divided by 2, and the average inventory value is P times Q divided by 2. As we learned earlier, the carrying costs range from 20 to 40%. So if we assume that percentage is a number C, then the annual total carrying cost is C times P times Q divided by 2. And with ordering costs, okay, I'm going to take an example in this one. Say you are a Walmart manager, and you want to make an order. It doesn't really matter if you order 1,000 or 1 million new inventory. It's still going to cost you that much to make one single order. Think of the ordering cost as the cost of the phone call you make for the manufacturers to deliver that inventory to your warehouse. So it doesn't matter if you order 1,000 or 1 million. But if you make multiple phone calls, the ordering costs will rise. So we can see that the ordering costs are fixed in direct proportion to the size of your inventories. And yes, the total order cost will be F times the total amount of units you sell per year, S, and the Q units you purchase with each order. The total inventory cost is just the carrying cost plus the ordering cost. And we have a separate formula to derive the EOQ model from the total cost equation. You just derive everything using Q, and then you have the equation of Q star equals square of 2Fs times CP. Fs, C, and P are all given in the total inventory cost formula, so we should be clear from there. And that's it. Oh, a few more additional notes is that because the EOQ is the optimal amount of quantity of inventory you should order with each order, so any amount deviating from that would be considered would make the cost higher than necessary, and the more you deviate from that EOQ, the higher the total cost will be. If Q is smaller than EOQ, then the carrying cost will decrease, but the ordering cost will increase, and vice versa if Q is higher than EOQ. And that's the end of the summary. Does anybody have any question?
Okay, thank you, Quốc Khánh. So for the part you don't really understand, I believe that you can understand it after you read the textbook and after you read the slide again, okay? And if you still don't understand, you can ask me in the class, okay?
Okay.
And remember, this Sunday will be the deadline for the first and the second presentation group to submit the slide, okay? And from next week, after we finish this chapter, maybe it will take me maybe just more than 1 hour to finish this chapter, and then we can have the presentation immediately after that. So any questions? Okay, so if we don't have any question, I will stop the class now, okay? See you next week.
Goodbye, Professor.